Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fortunate Slum Productions. I got another video today. I'm gonna go a little more in depth on making beats and producing music. I have a different track here. It's kind of like I called it Cypher beat. Kind of reminded me of like an East Coast Cypher type beat. It's one of like the first beats I've ever made using Bandpass. So, you know, it's kind of simple. I can kind of explain a little better. It's not a great beat, but we'll check it out. It has some different elements to it where I can talk about. So checks all the bases. So here it is. Here's my loops. So let's hear it first. So I got a little bass line in there. Turn those hats down a little bit. So I'm kind of just messing around with it. I have like some vocal sounds right here. I can kind of show you, different ways to mess around with some vocals, and got a brass horn, as you can see. I'm not sure if that's going to go in my final cut of this song, but let's hear so here's the vocal. It's this one right here where my mouse is on. So, as you can tell, my vocal sounds were kind of hitting at the same time that my brass horn was. And usually you don't want that. Like, you don't want, a sound effect or your snare or whatever to hit at the exact same time as a horn. They kind of cancel each other out. It depends what kind of song you're doing, but usually you don't want, different instruments hitting at the same time. So that's why I have to kind of mess around a little bit and fix it. But so let's talk about some specific things. I guess what loop am I in right now? Let's see. I'm in. So here's my song, and there's ways to actually, if you're on the song, you can actually shorten. You can cut parts of your loop out like that. You can shorten it. Like, you can trim the end of a loop to make it fit your song. So that's how you just hold it with your mouse. It starts blinking, and you just it's kind of like the slide button, but keep in mind, so this is your actual loop. So you're not sliding any note. You're cutting a piece of your loop out of your song. So that's one way you can do it. But I don't have any need to do that right now. Let's go to. I'm trying to think of what to talk about. Yeah, I guess we'll go to the snare for a little bit. So I just switched my snare up. I have this snare number 7 on here, which I use a lot. I do like it. It's kind of like a trappy snare. I had like a heavier snare to start off with. Let's hear it with the first snare that I had. Turn that vocal off. So what do you guys think? You think the heavier snare is better? I kind of like this one better. the transients they line up a little bit better. It's more in tune. So yeah, like I constantly change my mind when I make music. You find better snares. It's all about the ear test. Like if it sounds good to you, kind of go with it, or else you'll just drive yourself crazy, like fixing things and trying to change everything about your song. You don't want to get stuck in a loop where you're just like you just can't make up your mind. And I have that problem where I get stuck on a loop. I get stuck like literally on a loop, or a loop in my head per se, and I'm like stuck on one piece of the song. I'm like, oh, does this sound good? Is this like this? I don't know about this. Like, should I change it? And you kind of just have to go with whatever your brain tells you, like whatever your ears are telling you. Like if it sounds dope, then just roll with it. So I'm trying to learn to do that a little bit better. But so I think I like this snare better. It's called Snare 7. And remember, I showed you guys how to get to your snares. Like if you want to change it, you can always like copy it, and then so you have your original one still saved up there, and then turn that one off, and then you can look for other snares. So here's where all the instruments are, and there's all these snares. That one's not bad. So those ambient snares probably won't work. This is a kind of track where you need a snare to kind of be sharp and kind of cut through all that noise and that bass and that melody. It needs to like cut through it. So but I do like this snare 4. Hopefully I don't start changing my mind all of a sudden. But anyways, let's just mess around with this snare 4 for a second so I can just show you some stuff. So if you go to like your sound effects button right here, and like if your snare isn't quite on time, you can always go down to the transients, and that kind of you can up the attack on it so it matches with your beats per minute a little better. So they have like an attack. You can make the attack bigger, the release, and then see these attack, hold, attack, release. That kind of holds it where you want it. Here's the output, which is basically like the volume. There's a filter, so like if you want those low or high waves, and you can do this with anything: kicks, snares, hi-hats, whatever, trumpets, whatever. The transients kind of help me get my snare more in line with my song. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I already have it. I kind of already like how it's set right now, but that's kind of what transients do. If you press this I button on any of these effects, it will show you, it'll teach you a little more about it. Like you can read a little more about what each one does. See, this pops up and kind of explains to you what a transient is. So that's kind of helpful. Because a lot of this stuff, when I first was starting off, I didn't know what half these things were. There's let's play the song a little bit. So there's the snare. If we can put some reverb on it, which is basically like an echo. There's M-verb, which is like a much bigger. It's kind of, I think it's unique to this program, but it's like kind of a bigger, more ominous echo. I use a lot of M-verb, so you hear that. So that's the difference between M-verb and reverb. You can have a lot of these settings on at the same time. I definitely don't need reverb or M-verb for that snare. The snare is already good how it is. So there's a few things you can do. There's like a limiter if your snare is too sharp. Sometimes I'll mess around with the limiter, and the limiter kind of like it keeps it at a certain level. The sound waves don't go above that level. There's a threshold. There's a volume. There's even an attack, release. You can have a hard knee or a soft knee. So with the limiter, like that snare is still there, but it doesn't have as much of a presence. You can turn it down. Like if you have a snare that you like, it's still there, but the limiter kind of limits it from being too sharp for your ears, kind of thing. So that's, those are a few effects you can do. Another thing to get your hi-hats or your snare or whatever, more in line there, if you go over to miscellaneous button, when you click on your instrument and you go to miscellaneous, there's ARP. There's a tempo lock. It looks like I have it on, and that kind of like keeps whatever instrument you have in tempo with your song. There's a slide button as well. I use slide for 808s a lot. Like if you want to make your 808s slide a little bit better, there's a slide button right here. So that's in the ARP section. I just did get reminded of something though. If you go to miscellaneous or the MISC, so here's a no overlap button. If you don't want your notes to overlap, you turn this off and the sound it'll automatically cut off when the next note comes on. So that's good for melodies and stuff like that. So you don't have a bunch of sounds like competing with each other or overlapping. I have it on. The snare's too short to even really matter for this. So it's on right now, but that's if you want to know where your overlap on-off button is, it's right there. So here's like the LFO, where it's, really like you can tweak your waves. I use this for, the ENV. This is where you can like really tweak your waves. If you enable it right there, and then you can mess around with all the release, the sustain. I do that for a lot of different things, kicks, 808s. I don't really need to do it here, but that's where it is. And what else? There's a balance button, a balance knob, which is like how far off to one side your instrument is. Like if when you have a headphone and you hear a sound in one ear but not in the other, or it's more on one side, that's what the balance is. You don't really need that unless you're panning or something. Like I don't use it a lot, but I'll just show you what it sounds like. So now it sounds like the balance is all to one left of my speaker. Now it's on the right. Oops. And then if I want to reset it, because obviously I don't want that on, I just hold it like I said, and I just press reset. That snare's pretty loud actually. And you can always adjust the volume of your individual instrument right here. I'll turn that down a little bit. So I think I like the snare 7 a little better, to be honest. Turn that one down maybe. So when you're happy with it, you just produce it. That saves your loop. You can move on to the next one. Now, I don't really like these voxes. I call it vox. It's, vocal sound effects. I just named it that. I don't really like these. I don't know if they're going to be in the song, but this would kind of give me a good opportunity to show you different things you can mess around with the vocal aspect. So let's copy this. So as you can see, looks like I only highlighted part of this sample. It's a turntable sample. I think I got it from Bandpass. So here's what the whole thing sounds like. So it looks like I just highlighted that last part, which you can do that with anything. And so let me just show you. Let's highlight that again. And I'm just gonna play the loop by itself so we don't have all the music going. So let me show you a few things you could do with Vox, with vocals, or with anything. So maybe you want to put a delay on there. A delay is where it's kind of like an echo, where it's like, hey, 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 hey. So you hear that echo? And they have a few different delays. They have like a dub delay, which kind of like for dubstep, or it kind of like makes it more unique. There's a delay 2, which looks like it delays more of the sound, not just the end. Well, that's what it sounds like, at least. It's simply quite an... The delay filter is quite simply an echo. So it doesn't... Okay, so if we press on delay 2... Delay 2 is another delay effect from Maximum Digital Audio MDA. The delay can separate the left and the right channels. Okay, so it separates the left and the right channels of the sound more than just a regular delay. So you can always read those little tips up there. Another thing you can do with delay is you could put a limiter on it, like I was showing you with the snare, to kind of make it more even. You could put a compressor on it, which I think compresses like the lowest frequency of your sound to the highest. It compresses it more, so it's more of an even sound. People do that with vocals. Let me see. And you know, it has a threshold and a ratio. How much of it do you want to hear? There's an attack knob as well. So there's a lot of different things you can do to vocal. There is a let's see here. You want to hear the dub delay real quick? So that's more like a little bit faster. You can mess around with the feedback. The feedback is how many times you hear it back, like how many times the echo goes. So it's at like 44 right now. You can change the feedback tone. You can make the timing of the delay, like you can have it delay way after the sound is over, or like very quickly once the sound is over. And you could do that with the regular delay too. There's also like a chorus thing, which I guess is good for choruses. I don't really mess around with that too much. Where is it? Yeah, here it is, the chorus. And I kind of forgot exactly what it does. The chorus filter is used to simulate the chorus effect. Let's turn that off. The chorus filter is used to simulate the chorus effect, which is when multiple sounds of close to the same pitch and timbre are combined to sound like one. This sounds great when used on vocals. The chorus effect was kindly provided by Dennis Cronin. Okay, so yeah, it's more of like when there's a few people singing at once. I guess it's it makes it sound more like one. So there's the format, which changes it basically changes like the key your note is in, or the vowel. It changes the vowel. So I do use this a little bit. So it changes the vowel of whatever instrument you're in. That's O. And the amp is basically like the amplifier, the volume. So yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. Just kind of wanted to show you this little beat. Kind of has that, like, you know, old school feel to it. It's okay in my opinion. But I didn't want to just have some crappy beat and not, you know, in my other video and not actually show you some of the music I make. Okay, well that's all messed up now. I'll fix that later. Let's save this and let's play the song. do have some 808s I'm working on, but 808s, they're not great to put when you already have a bass line going. The sound kind of messes with each other. So I'm still not sure about the 808s, what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to have an 808 video coming soon. And I guess let's just talk about some hi-hats real quick. I can make a whole video on hi-hats. These are, you want to have some diversity with your hi-hats. These are pretty simple. It's good to have a little break in between your hi-hats. It's like, what's the nod your head factor? Sometimes my hi-hats sound too like generic, too boring. You can put some swing on your hi-hats, which is kind of like it's like the little pause, it's like it's the pause before your hi-hat kind of thing. It gives it some diversity, so you can access the swing in your MISC and the MISC button right here. Wow, I don't have any swing on here. That's very surprising. I usually always put swing on my hi-hats. So you can put the swing minus or plus. I think it sounded a little bit better with the swing. Maybe I just forgot or something, but see, you hear that difference? It's very subtle. It's very subtle, but if you want a little bit of diversity in your hi-hats, swing is not bad to try it out. Also, put some pauses in your hi-hats. Don't just make it like the same all around. You can put some breaks in it, mess around with different things. It won't really hurt. If you don't, like, when all else fails, triplets are good. So yeah, you just kind of got to mess around and see what works. So that's all I got today. But yeah, I'm gonna do like a kicks video, an 808 video. If you learned anything and you like the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.